Hey, welcome to SkyART. I'm Ellen, and we are doing online tutorials since we are not in the studios right now. And so today we're bringing you block printing using foam. So welcome and hope you join us. And what we do at SkyART before we actually work in the studios on our art is we come together and we have a mindful moment where we just center ourselves that we're wanting to get ready to do our work and clear our mind. So we're just going to take a couple deep breaths before we begin. 1 and 2 and 3. Great. So over here on my left is a palette. We'll be putting the ink on there. I have 2 pieces of paper for the process. I have this in my hand, which is known as a roller or a brayer, and that would be for using the ink. And then I have some of the ink here. We have a squirt bottle for to make the ink a little less thick, if you find it to be that way. And then we have painter's tape, and this is really used a lot for the setup, as you can see maybe in the corners. And also we're going to use it on our piece here. Also I have pencil, a wooden stylus, and a craft stick. And I'll be using all 3 of these. And then finally over here we have just some paper and a metal spoon. So let's get started. First we have the foam, and you can do any kind of design. This is a pre-cut piece of foam, but you could use any kind of foam. And for example, you could even use a foam tray. You'd want to use the side that would be flat against the surface though. And I'm just going to do actually a pattern today. And I'm going to start with the pencil, and you don't want too sharp of a point because we don't want to rip. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do lots of different lines and shapes, and I'm going to work between all 3 of these materials. So I'll start with the pencil, and I will just do some different lines. Start with some wavy lines. And you can see what you're doing is you're actually indenting into the foam. You don't want to press too hard so as not to rip the foam, but you want to press deep enough that the line is indented enough so that the ink won't get into these crevices. So I'm just doing a pattern here of some wavy lines. Now I'm going to switch it up. I'm going to use the wooden stylus, and I can use both sides. I can use the pointed side and the blunt side here. And what I'm going to do first is I'm going to do some different kinds of lines, just some arched lines like this. This is the tool that I prefer to use. But then what I can also use is I can use this side to make even thicker lines. See, that's a little bit thicker. I can also use this part to indent even more larger areas. And that's when I can actually switch to the craft stick. If I want an even wider area, I can indent here. Can also use this side of the tool, and I can make circles. And each time you indent, that indentation is actually going to be the color of the paper. So the ink won't go into that. The ink will stay on the surface that you haven't touched. Okay, so I think we're ready to begin now that the drawing design portion is done. I'm going to go back to this tape that you see at the edges. This painter's tape is really important because with painter's tape, it is easy to pick up from the surface, and what we're going to do is we're going to put it on the back of the foam, and we're doing this so that it doesn't move around. We don't want it to move. We want it to stay stable when we roll the ink over it. And now we're going to move on to the ink. We're going to start with two primaries, the yellow and the blue. We're going to put them over here on the palette. You can always add more if you need it. I'm going to do a yellow and blue to make a green, but I'm not going to thoroughly mix them. I'm going to give a little shot of water to it because I don't want it to be too thick. And now I'm going to use the brayer to roll it back and forth. And what we want to do is we want a nice even coat along the brayer. We don't want it to be too thick. This looks good. And so now we're going to go over this quickly, and it's okay to get it on this paper. That's why we have the paper there. And we're going to go diagonally so that we make sure we want to get the corners. I'm going to go back and forth all over. Okay, we put the brayer back. And that tape now, we can pull the foam up. We're going to set it over here on this sheet. This way, this doesn't get in the margins of your paper. So I'm going to start with just a white sheet of paper. I'm going to place it over the block. I'm going to hold it down with one hand so it doesn't move. And I can use my hand, or I can use a spoon. Spoon gives more pressure, and I'm going to do this in circles so that I'm not moving the paper and the paper won't slide. And at the same time, I'm still holding it down. And you may be able to see the design transferring, and you can feel the foam and the indentations. You definitely want to get the corners. And then if you want to pull up closest to you so that you get the first look and you can see that it doesn't stick. And there's your design. And what's great about doing block printing is you can do multiples. So here's my first one. I'm actually going to put it back on here, back on the original sheet. Right there. I'm going to do the ink again. I can continue doing this. This time I'm going to use a different kind of paper. I'm going to use a handmade paper, a pink paper. So look good, the contrast of colors. I'm going to set it down, and once again, press. I'm going to use my spoon. And the great thing about this is if you make a mistake, you keep doing it and doing it. It's all about making multiples. You can change the colors. And here it is. Here are the two side by side. Same block, a little bit slightly different colors of ink. And there's one more thing when doing a block, when you want to do words. So I'm going to do one with a word here. So when doing a word such as, let's see, I'm going to do the word SkyART, but I'm going to do it backwards because in doing so it has to be mirrored. So I'm actually not going to write the correct way, left to right. I'm going to do right to left. So every word and every letter of that word needs to be backwards. If you don't indent deep enough, it won't show up. The ink will pool into it and you will not be able to see. The line will just get covered. So now what we're going to do is we're going to use this tape again on the back. And I think I'm going to add a little more yellow. A bit of water. It's nice and thin. I need to wipe it off. I do that. And here we go. Side to side. Once again, I'm going to pull it up. And I'm going to put paper red on it. Let's make sure it's all nice and straight. If you get some on the back, that's okay. It's not going to show. You can also reuse the foam block. You can wash it, and you can do it again in different colors. Okay, I think we're good. Here we go. So I'll turn it around for you to see. Here's the SkyART, and there's the mirror. All right. So thank you so much for tuning in and watching our tutorial today on block printing. If you want to like us or give us support, please go to www.skyart.org on our website. Thanks so much, guys. Have a great day.